Hey everybody, welcome to Hearts and Minds Sales Training. I'm your host, Eddie Sprouse. Can we get real for a minute? Um, you've probably seen that I haven't put out a lot of content in the last few days, and there's some reasons for that. Some of them are personal, some of them are business related. But to be honest, this week really got away from me, and that can happen to any of us. I mean, we get so busy that things just fly by, and I'll be honest, I haven't been doing my activities every day like I should, mostly because I've been in this put out fire mode, both in my personal life and in my professional life. And I have done some things I think are pretty good. I've made a friend of a client, and I went to that client's closing. Um, took him and his realtor out for lunch and left a good impression on them. So I did something there that I think is going to build a relationship that's going to last a while. The client told me, he said, we have a lot in common. And we wouldn't have known that about each other had we not spent some extra time together. So that worked out. That worked out real well. Um, but I want to talk about a couple of things. When it comes to sales, our clients don't need us as much as we need them. Our clients, I'm going to say it again, our clients don't need us as much as we need them. And that's just the truth. No matter what kind of sales you're in and what kind of activities you're doing and what you're selling and what needs you're meeting, there are other choices out there the client could go with. So why are they using you in particular? What is it that sets you apart from all your competitors? Because at the end of the day, that's how you win clients for life, is you've got to differentiate yourself. And one of the ways to do that is to quit thinking about each interaction with a client as a one-off transaction. Okay, if you're transaction minded and that's all you think about when you're dealing with your clients, you've already lost and you don't even know it. Okay, you need to look at each interaction you have with everyone as a potential person to not only come back and use you again when they need you, but for them to send their friends and family to, someone that they're glad to recommend. And how do you do that? Well, it starts with you understanding that they are more important to you than you are to them, meaning you are really going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work for those future transactions, for those future interactions with both your client and the people that they may or may not refer to you. And I think the trick to that, if you want to call it a trick, is really just staying in front of the client as much as you can and being there. When your client calls you, don't let it go to voicemail. Pick up your dadgum phone and talk to them. When they send a text message, and we all have people in our lives that they abuse any form of communication, whether it's phone calls or text messages. But when it's a client, you got to treat it differently, okay? You can't look at it like you're getting abused. They have a need that they're going to get filled with you or someone else. The first person that responds to their text is usually the person that's going to keep that client. So you got to be responsive. And I want to tell you, in the client's mind, if they can't get in touch with you, that's rude. It's absolutely rude. And if you're in a support role in sales where you're supporting the sales staff, you got to have that same mentality. You can't just leave it for emails. Okay, if there's something you're asking for from your client, and maybe it's a little scary because you don't know how that client's going to respond to what you're requesting, get over it. All right, you need to be able to explain to the client why it is that you need the things you're asking for and you explain to them what form they need to be sent in. You need to clearly communicate these things. So it's like having a checklist with each client. You check off the different things you need, and you make sure you communicate very thoroughly with them about that. So, give you an example. In my line of work in mortgages, often we ask for things that can make people a little uncomfortable. It might be getting into their financial situation. It may be asking questions about the house. And in an inexperienced salesperson's mind, or someone that is not used to dealing with the public or with clients, you may be a little timid about asking for certain things. You can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. You got to go ahead. And what I tend to do with my clients is I tell them up front, you're going to get an email and it's going to list out these things that we need from you. And here's why we need them. And here's what form we can accept them in. So like in my business, a lot of times I ask for bank statements from individuals. And I'll get all kinds of things, from screenshots of their bank account to incomplete bank statements, stuff that they've went in and they've blacked out with a marker because they don't want you to see what that is. That is not acceptable. An underwriter is not going to accept that kind of documentation. So I explain to my clients, the best thing you can do is log on to your bank and get a PDF of your most current 2 months bank statements and send that to me. It has to be all pages, even pages that appear to be blank or don't have any important financial information on them. And I just explain it. Look, that is just one of the steps in this process. We have to be able to see how you're handling your money. And if there's money in your account, we need to see if it just showed up or has it been there for a while. So you've got to be able to explain that to them. And a lot of times a phone call will go a long way to, you may be nervous about it, but it's going to put your client at ease getting that phone call from you, and you just taking them a few moments just to explain to them how the process is going to work. And you know, I tell my clients, I said, if you ever get an email from me or a member of my team that asks you for something and you don't completely understand what it's asking for, call me. The buck stops with me. If you've got a problem with something we're asking for, call me. Let's talk about it. Let's talk through it. I don't just leave them in this void to just kind of like bounce around and maybe they'll do it and maybe they won't. And you know, hope is not a plan, right? I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but you don't just hope and pray that the client sends you what you need. You go ahead and tell them up front what the expectations is, because you can't serve them unless they're willing to cooperate with you on these things. And that can go into so many different types of sales. So not just the mortgage loan process that I deal in. That could go for real estate, that could go for car sales, that could go for selling, stocks and annuities and mutual funds and things like that. There are certain things that you're going to need, and you need to be able to explain that. So take the time to make the phone call. Take the time to talk to your clients and explain the process and remove the mystery out of it. And you know what this does too, is if you do a good job with your explanation and they send you the right kind of documentation, you don't have to ask for that documentation ever again. And there's nothing more frustrating to a client than for them to send something that's half-baked and you or a member of your team doesn't notice it at first, and you come back to them a week or two later and you say, hey, we still need bank statements. They say, well, I sent that to you. Well, nobody on your team told them right away. That won't work. So if I see something come across my desk or through my computer system where the client's uploaded some documents and I know it's not going to be acceptable, I call the client right away and I re-explain to them what we need and why we need it a certain way. Again, as a salesperson, you're taking the frustration out of it by being a professional and be able to explain these things to people. So many times in my business, things get sideways with I see other loan officers struggling with this. They get sideways because they're afraid to make phone calls. Or maybe a member of their team, maybe their processor or their legal assistant or whoever it might be, doesn't want to take the time to make a phone call. And believe it or not, even if you type it up in an excellent email and it's black and white, the client may not understand what you're asking for. And it's going to build up these points of friction. And through that friction, you're going to start losing your clients, okay? So your job is to try to remove as much of that friction as possible. You better keep in mind that you need that client worse than they need you. So if you're not doing your job to make things seamless for them and explain things well to them, they're going to go to someone who can. So don't lose out on an opportunity to grow your business because you're too lazy or too scared to pick up the dang phone and to make a call and explain things to the client. Heck, better than that, if you're in an industry where you get to meet with them face to face, sit them down in your office and explain to them the situation and what their options are. People love having options. So talk to them about options. Hey, if you don't want to do this, maybe we can look at it from a different angle. So you don't want to take a cookie cutter approach to every client. Now, what it boils down to, there are still hoops that your industry may tell you have to jump through, but it's how you deliver those hoops. If you make it look like it's just nothing but net, effortless to your client, chances are you're going to see that client go from being just someone who is interested in what you have to say or sell to someone that's ready to sign on the line and make a commitment to you because you have made it look effortless to them and you're always there for them. And I can't tell you, I'm not here to pat myself on the back, but I can't tell you how many times my clients thank me afterward. And they spend thousands of dollars with me, but they thank me for making it such an easy transaction and for explaining things so well. And you know what? When you're in that moment, when they're thanking you, that's the best time to ask for referral because it never gets any better than that moment. You never get another opportunity quite like that moment when they feel good about what you did for them. You've delivered some good news that, hey, we're almost done with this. And they say, hey, I just want to take a moment. Thank you for all your hard work you put into this. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Client. You know what I'd appreciate even more? If you would tell your friends and family. And you know what? I'm going to send you a link. If you don't mind, could you leave me a 5-star review and tell other people that you may not even know about how good I am? And that's something I need to be more intentional about. I don't go after reviews, but I'm going to start doing it because a lot of people who have come to me in the past have come to me after those reviews. And you know what I tell clients? I say, if there's a reason that you can't leave a 5-star review, can we talk about it before you leave the review? And I'm going to see if I can correct that situation. I hope you got something good out of this. God bless you. Go out and make good contacts. Remember that you need the client worse than they need you. Do your job. Don't be afraid to make phone calls. Don't be afraid to talk about tough things. That's what sales is all about, is making the complex seem simple and getting those referrals. Have a great day, everybody.